when one guy takes a step one photo, I've always wanted to have a man from the investment. Display and planning. And then there was another thing. 60 bob every weekend used to go to buy newspapers. So for me, it was more of a status thing. Because on Sunday, you come in your pajamas, you go to the gate in slippers, you chit chat there with the old cheese, then you buy the newspaper. Then you walk there, it's like a 2 minute walk to your house, but on Saturdays you walk for like an hour. Because people have to see you buy the newspapers. You stop to drink cheese about it.
My name is Rita Bondi. I work for the financial sector. I'm going to talk about the journey of the online. Well, let me begin by how I knew about Centonomy online. We went to an open day at Austin and we got to people about the journey and what is relevant. Everyone wants to be financially good and have like wealth creation and thought. So we decided to take the 11-week courses, which is an amazing course. And you get to learn so much, and every time you come to class, you can't look forward for the next class. Well, for me, as an individual, one of the key classes that actually have changed my life to something that I can't even explain. It's one on wealth creation. And this is actually something that I love doing and I've been love I've wanted to but I just need to know how to manage. Like you get into an investment and you do the wrong investment all together. So through this journey and through these classes, I've been able to know where to invest, like how to invest in stocks. How do I invest in real estate? Does it make value? Does it actually give me returns on the investment? And if it's giving me returns on the investment, how much are the returns on the investment? How will it actually grow in terms of everyone has a target, like want to make like 10 million in the next three years, so years. How do I plan myself so that I meet that target? Another amazing thing that I've learned is debt management. Like, I'm sure people have learned from this, like in platforms or like a bank or a friend. So how do you manage your debt so that you're able to pay your faster? Number one. And number two, how you can actually acquire an asset to make it something that is giving you rental income. Or alternatively, how to clear one debt so that you can acquire more financial support from a bank so that you can visit your business. So I'll give an example for something like you go to a bank and you take an activity credit for 10 minutes for a mortgage and you want to actually reduce that debt. So we have this kind of money income and the possibility is to 10 million and you need to show how you can reduce her debt exposure, which gives you some form of relief. Not only relief, because once you reduce the my mindset has actually changed when I started Centonomy and become more smart in terms of planning. I'm able to know what do I want to plan. Like these are the investments I want. And what is people, you put it down on paper, and what percentage of investment do I want to invest in? What is saving? And how can I save from this direction? Basically, what I'm going to tell you is people in the mind, they want to do everything, and as long as you have a dream, you will watch, you can do you can always and try and do something about it. Because at the end of the day, it's always ends up. Growth started in my business and income was coming in. But how do I use that income?
Bluetooth cancelled.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you here. Well done, gentlemen, for showing up on time. It's always encouraging when you get into a space like this and you're able to have a discussion, an open discussion with other gentlemen. Karibu sana to Centonomy, and especially around our personal financial management program called Centonomy 101. And I'll be telling you a lot more about that as we go through this program. But at Centonomy, we never want to just have a session where you come in and you get told about something that you have not yet received. So we come into a session like this ready to learn. I pray that you have with you a notebook and a pen that you can be able to take some notes on. If you don't have, just go get some. It's quite powerful. And I'd really appreciate if as we can go through this, we'll keep our microphones and our excuse me, and our videos off for a period of time. When we're asking questions, that's when we'll be able to switch on our microphones. Just that way, it's just a bit less distracting. So for whoever wants to be able to participate, that's what we're going to be able to do. So I encourage you, if you can, kindly just, if you can switch off your video and mute your microphone, but then we'll be able to unmute at the point at which we are doing the Q&A later on. So welcome to everybody. I'm so glad that you have chosen to share your time with us this morning, and I pray that you will learn something together. I encourage you, yes, as you join, just to keep your video off and your microphone off, unless at that point is when we're going to be speaking. So, gentlemen, I see some people were quite encouraged by the topic for the day. Today, we're going to be discussing men and money. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about my wallet, my income, and my assets. Just to let you know, in case we've not met before, you've not seen me anywhere before, my name is Waithaka Gatumia. I'll be moderating this session. I'm also serving at Centonomy as CEO. I also love to train, and if anytime I speak in a situation like this, I always tell people that first of all, I'm a student of Centonomy. Before I started training there, I was a student. We've been working together with Waithaka for a couple of years in content development, content creation, and at some point, you have to at some point decide for yourself that you're going to learn. I think it's so easy to tell other people. In fact, in the programs that we run, many times we'll do some case studies just so that we get a picture of what's going on around. And in those case studies, what you discover is that, man, it is so easy to tell somebody else what to do in the situation that they are, especially guys. Guys, we are so good at solving problems for other people. We will sit down together with your group of boys, you're together, you're sitting, you're having a great discussion, and you will solve everyone else's problem except yourself. We're really good at seeing other people. When we're dispassionate, when we're outside of the environment, we're very good at seeing what's going on, and therefore we find ourselves working towards a solution. When it comes to ourselves, sometimes we need to be able to step out of our current situation, to step out of our life and look back in and say, okay, where is it? What can I do to be able to help myself? And hopefully we're going to discuss that later today. Just to let you know, Centonomy, we've been in business for over 11 years. We've been training in the area of personal financial management, entrepreneurship, and career development for now over 11 years. And it's been amazing. The kind of transformations that you have, and you'll hear some of them today from some of the speakers that we have, are significant. We are on a mission to shift your mindset so that you can create wealth and live abundantly. That is our mission. In all that we're doing, we are trying to assist you on the process or the journey of wealth creation so that you can achieve your desired goals. I was just thinking about this as we were coming into this session, and I know we have Pastor Simon Mbevi is going to come and speak a bit later, but when we've discussed men and money in the past, one of the things that has been extremely clear is that 3 or 4 generations ago, our role as men was very clear. I mean, it was absolutely clear. You are supposed to be a defender of your community. And so once you go to a certain level, now you join the defense team. You would go out and do whatever needs to be done. You would go and attack other people, or you defend yourself from attack that was coming through. You take care of the security of the space, decision-making, movement, all those things. The roles were clear. You know, you are a boy, you helped at home. Once you reached a certain age, now you're a man and you moved into this area. Once you reached a certain age, you are an elder and you made decisions in the certain space. Now we are trying to navigate this world where as men, those roles are not as obvious or as clear. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is that idea of leadership, especially in the home, leadership in the community. It has stopped being about just simply our strength, physical strength, and our ability to mobilize, but it's now becoming about strategy. And if you're going to lead your home, if you're going to lead your community, you're going to lead whatever group that you're in, that now has to become more strategic. We're going to discuss this through this session today, but the core of the Centonomy 101 program around finances is the financial strategy. And as a man, I found that to be extremely powerful, because I still remember the very first events that our founder, Waithaka, used to do were for women. And I still remember, this is now over 10 years ago, attending one of those events. I was a supplier at that time to the company. I was not even working there yet. And she was speaking to these women and she was saying, ladies, let me tell you, men are in clubs, they're in bars, wherever they meet, and they're talking about business, and they're talking about how to make money, and they're talking about how to, and the 3 of us suppliers at the back of the room, we were all gentlemen. I was one of them. There was a guy who was providing sound and and doing whatever. And there was there were only 3 guys in the room, and the 3 of us were looking at each other and wondering, which are these clubs and which are these bars that we can go to talk to guys about money? Yes, we'll have general discussions out there, talk, hey, that guy is doing well, that guy is doing well, but it's never in depth where you now become a part of the discussion. And so as Centonomy has began to grow, that content now became very clear on the strategy around financial wellness, around financial growth, around financial abundance. We want that conversation to become real for you. In the Centonomy 101 program, it is planned, it is strategic, that you can say, this is the goal that I want to achieve. I want my family to be in this kind of situation over the next couple of years. And we are able to give you the strategic steps in order to get to that goal. It's clear. It's no longer just in general, and it's not just about motivation. It is clear. When you come into the class, we talk about debt, and we don't just say, oh, you need to pay your debt back. No, we have a debt repayment plan that can help you to be able to see and unpack that debt so that you're able to say, okay, we'll clear it in the next 5 years so that we are able to pick up and grow some more. We also begin to see, how do you plan for the future? I don't know how many of you have come into this room. Maybe you have kids and you're trying to see, okay, how do I plan for their university education? That's what we do. We plan. We're able to sit down and say, okay, we want them to go to, let's say, USIU if you're here in Kenya. And you say that that's the university I want them to go. I have 10 years before I have an 8-year-old, so I have 10 years. So you're able to plan and foresee how much will it cost in 8 years and work backwards to say, what kind of investment must I make today? So that if you're picking up one of those, the education plans, you actually know how much you're going to invest. It's strategic. Yesterday, we were having a discussion with some mountain climbers, and I'm sure there are some of you in this room. And preparing to go and climb Mount Longonot or the Gong Hills is very different from preparing to go and climb Mount Kenya. And so if your goal is as high as Mount Kenya, if you're saying, I want my family to live in a certain way, I want them to find success in a certain way, and I want my community, even just myself, I want to get to a certain level. If you set that goal so high, then you have to do the preparation and know the work to get you to that top. Guys, we're going to be having real discussions today. And as we said today, the theme for the day is men and money. And as we said, it is my wallet, income, and assets. Today, we've got an amazing group of speakers who are going to be sharing with you their experiences and some of the ideas that they have. God willing, we'll be able to have a bit of time for Q&A as we go forward. I don't want to take any more time in setting this up, but guys, it's no longer about just that general discussion. We must become strategic. We must become clear on what we want to achieve and take the steps to get there. It's no longer, come on guys, you know about it in sports, you have to get into the training in order to be able to achieve that success that you want along the way. So if you're in this room ready to learn, I hope you've gotten your pen, your paper next to you. Even if you're going to take notes on your phone, write down some of the points that you're going to learn so that you can be able to grow. So welcome to Centonomy, everybody. I hope you're strapped in because it's going to be amazing. As I said, I'll be your moderator for today. Waithaka Gatumia is my name. Yeah, let's get engaged. Our first speaker for today, Peter Mbui. He's the founder, excellent, Moulders International and co-founder of Edna Foods. And he's going to be sharing with us. Peter, if you can switch on your screen and your audio, is going to be sharing on his wealth creation journey. So good to see you, bro. How are you doing?
Good, bless yourself.
I'm excellent. You can see I'm energized for today. When we're talking to men,
yes,
I get excited because I get a sense in which that as the men go, so goes the society. That's why I'm happy to have you here. All right, Peter, you ready to go?
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Waithaka, for having me this morning. I'm honored. I'll say that this is one of those times that you just say it's a blessed morning, so to speak. And why it's interesting to be here is because there is so much to share, and at times I like to think about it on the basis of you want to look at it from the mistakes that you have done, and we're moving forward. Then what are we going to implement? So, but before I go on, my name is Peter Mbui, as Waithaka has introduced me. I am the founder of Excellence Moulders International. Excellence Moulders International is a company that focuses on sales training and mentorship. Basically, we mold salespeople to excellence. Yeah, that's what I've done. I have over 10 years of experience, and in one of those fields that many people don't like, insurance. It's difficult, so to speak, as many people like to consider it, but I'm glad that I have in excess of 20 success stories of people that I have molded in the country. And what I'm glad about this morning is the fact that I'm the co-founder of Edna Foods. So somebody will ask, what is Edna Foods? Edna Foods is a company that is family-based. Edna is my lovely wife. I forgot to introduce myself properly. She's my lovely wife. Between us are 3 boys. Yeah. And it's just excellent having to work with that lovely lady. Each and every day she gives me, and I'll say and Edna Foods basically supplies you with all kinds of foodstuffs, cakes, raw food, snacks. We are very soon going into manufacturing of but basically things like honey, peanut butter, those kind of things, and you will be seeing us coming out quite strongly in the next few months. Yeah, and of course, just to say that we are live on Edna Foods, we are on Glovo, we are on Jumia, we are on all these platforms, and you can be able to enjoy some of our foods. So I want to say, like all of us who are in this room who have not attended the Centonomy, I was invited by somebody many times. And I was, what? I've been training. What are these guys going to tell me? I know this stuff. And I remember on one Saturday afternoon, I decided, no, this is it. It has to be, one Saturday morning, I decided this has to be the day that I actually going to listen and what Centonomy has to offer. And I remember we went to Holy, not Holy Family. This should be yes, at the cathedral on Valley Road, and it was an interesting time, and I learned quite a lot. But I think for me, what even challenged me was the fact that having been in the insurance industry, I could hear, or I had heard some of my clients telling me I've had a Centonomy experience. So I also wanted to know, what is this Centonomy experience that everybody is talking about? So I stepped in there, learned, and decided, no, I'll sign up for the Centonomy 101. And I went into it with an open heart, decided first of all, it's time for me to leave my trainer aspect, trainee. So I walked, it was an interesting journey, created some important relationships and friendships to date. Out of that, we even founded a company that is doing quite a lot in the cohort that we attended, that is Centonomy 25. So I'll tell us that it was for me transformational. So what is it that really came out of Centonomy for me that I would say was transformational? I would want to look at it from 3 basic components that I learned, that are things that we do on a day-to-day basis, but really we have not issues that we need to look at on an individual level in terms of something that I want to look at in terms of its significance. When I take this as an item and focus on it, it's just like when a researcher probably or a biotechnician goes into the lab. You know, they're looking at a cell, wanting to understand what is ailing this cell, or when they are doing biopsy, they take up a piece of your meat or your body, some part of meat from your body, but basically with the intention of looking at a cell to understand what is ailing this cell. And therefore, they're able to explain out of the cell, this is ailing this, and this is ailing the other. And therefore, the condition that worked. I looked at it and came out with three important aspects for me. That these three important aspects that I garnered are: number one, the important factor of compounding. And therefore, I wanted to understand, what is this compounding? I have always thought, compound interest, basic primary school mathematics. What do you need to teach me about that when I have been working? Yeah, I have had probably three jobs, or three jobs basically, and I looked at it and some of these have been managerial positions. I have been branch manager of some of the Tier 1 insurance companies. Then what is this compound interest that you are now putting emphasis on? And I decided, let me seek to understand what compound interest is all about. The next thing that I learned from the Centonomy class is what we call the non-cash assets. Now, this is something that has always been with me, but that I never thought as something that can really give me and make sure that this then becomes interesting, because these are things that we take for granted. I think I'm having a stable internet connection, but I think it's okay now. The non-cash, we do not really look at them as assets. Is this guy who goes to a party, everybody seems stranded, and this guy stands up and says, "Hi guys, I think we've been here long enough, it's time to start the party." And we just look at it as, okay, but it's not kiherehere. This is actually an asset that this guy has, because each and everybody in this room basically has is just waiting to see. But this guy is standing up and saying, "Hi guys, let's get into this real time." So says that you have things that really that can give us that can form the base of our career. And for me, I came to realize from the Centonomy one-on-one that actually my ability to talk and my creation of excellence Moulders, which is a company that I created many years ago, is actually founded on the basis of my non-cash assets, that I'm able to do this. And therefore, I have trained quite a number of people, and they come back and tell me, "Peter, you are so good at this." But yet, I had not looked at it as the point, as the foundation of my career, so to speak. And therefore, this the fact that I am now the founder and CEO of Excellence Moulders, and I'm doing this on day out of my Centonomy, basically how to execute business. Because at times we think that business is stock, sell, buy, sell, and vice versa, and make a profit, blah, blah, blah. But Centonomy taught me something that is very important, which also marries in my point number one on compounding, that business basically means you. And I thought about it, and I was asking myself the other day, how many of us are in big business with small money? Big business, small money. Or, I am in this business we sell, I'm in the business of bulletproofing cars, for example. Sounds very good. I'm in the business of doing what? I sell diamonds. I sell this, I sell the other. It is good. I do not refuse. Is this business translating into me making money? And one of the persons that challenged me to actually start thinking about business execution after I did my Centonomy one-on-one is the fact that is one of my good mentors and my friend who runs a business in downtown Nairobi. This guy has a business of probably size, the shop is 10 by 10. This guy is able to turn over business of in excess of 3 million from that very simple customer. And I was asking myself, I'm always in suits, and this guy tells me, Peter, you guys are doing very well. But yet I looked at it and say, this packaging papers, this guy sells those confectionery inputs, basically like cupcake holders and stuff. And this guy is turning business of in excess of 3 to 5 million in a month. And I asked myself, wait a minute, who is fully who? This guy is in small business, big dude. We're in big business that is big. You know, we are men and men do big things. Yeah. Niko na kafront. You know, niko na kashamba pahali. I've bought in acres. I am doing a business that can shake people. But is it making money at the end of the day? Yeah. And remember when we were doing our class Centonomy, one of the ideas that was developed by a group that actually of the practical business models that we are asked to develop, one of the groups that won is a group that came up with a business idea of selling eggs, hawking eggs in town. These guys were, from the business projection, the business plan, these guys were to be doing volumes of in excess of 100,000 a day. Now, I am there. I deal with the high-end rentals. I sell property in Dubai. It is good. I refuse. But this guy selling eggs, buys eggs at 9 shillings because they're able to buy them at wholesale. They do sales of, say, they sell the eggs at, say, 20 shillings. So 20 shillings, the difference of 8 shillings, give or take the cost of production of the egg to be a ready egg, plus the kachumbari and everything. These guys then have an extra, give it from 8 or 9 shillings, give an extra 3 shillings per egg. So these guys have 7 shillings. So 7 shillings, they sell at 20 shillings. So basically, these guys are turning over 70% profit. Now, I do not need to be seated in a class to understand that 70% profit is too good. That if I buy a car worth $1 million and sell it for 1.2, I'm making 20%. And if this guy is able to sell eggs worth 100,000, that then the guy is making, if he sells eggs worth the 70, say 200,000, he's turning over a profit of 7%. That's about 100,000, basically. Clever here, in essence, the creation of an individual as we want, because we are all beautifully and wonderfully made. But in terms of what business is making more sense, and this challenged me. And so, fast forward, those are my 3 basic and big lessons from Centonomy. Fast forward, 2020. We all begin the year full of hope, full of joy, you know, and we all sat down and decided, as we want the year that I've been waiting for, to shine and outshine. And we begin the year, and for me, I just want to go back and just give a brief of what happened last year. I was a branch manager of one of the Tier 1 insurance companies, and unfortunately, around August, I got involved in an accident. 3 months, about 2 months down the line, I am called by the head of my business unit, the office, and they tell me, Peter, we feel that it is time for you to step down. We want you to to take a lower position as we wait for you to recover, because I had an accident. I had broken my fibia and tibia on my left leg. So I basically was immobile for about 7 months. I had to be at home. And so they call me and they tell me, it's time for you to resign. And I tell them it is okay. It was then to resign. And that got me thinking, who owns this job that I say I do? Who owns it? Is it me, or is it the organization that I work for? That became revolutionary for me from that point. And I decided to take a backseat. Not forgetting, a year or so before that, I had a bad experience where I had gotten attacked by thugs and gotten basically financing a mortgage. I'm paying rent, and at this time I have to go back. I'm thinking, what can I do at this time? I'm home. Basically, it's me, my wife, and my children. And at that point in time, a lot is happening. And at this point, I would want to talk to us, man. A lot is happening. You have bills accumulating. Look at you and say, yeah, you're doing yourself a Prado. And so everybody thinks that they would also want you to invite you for their show. You know, you have a Kennedy somewhere, you have a kakad, you know, have a wedding. Peter, please come in. But at times, men, we need to be at that point where we are at our bottom, so that we get to understand where or who our associations are. And I began thinking, now, there has to be something different. And at that time, I do not look at it as a loss, because I spent almost a year basically being home. But I say, what was my biggest lesson from that experience is the fact that family is everything. Yeah. And I decided to understand, or I started to interrogate that then I must do something that focuses or encompasses or circle the idea of my company came back very well in my training. I have done, I have trained some of, I'm contracted to train some big companies in this country. I train one of the biggest furniture company in this country. I train their sales force, and I ask myself, this guy is always telling me, Peter, wherever you come and do your training, we see a renewed energy in our company, in our sales team. And I realized that then this is what I need to start focusing on. Again, can you guys hear me? Waithaka, am I audible?
It's breaking up a little bit, but we're getting the story.
Okay, you can hear me now.
We're really into it. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I figured out that I need to start doing, and I said this is what I will do. I'll now focus on my training business as I do my normal errands that I have been running all along. And drawing back to the non-cash assets, my lovely wife Edna is an excellent trained chef. And since we got our first child, she has been at home, because we decided that we want her to be a stay-home mom until our children are old enough to be able to be left alone. And that has been one of the best decisions we have. We started asking, what if we could start cooking from the house? So simple as that. And as it were, we are two extremes. For me, I'm this guy who gets excited. A new idea has come. Peter, boom, go into it big time. My wife, on the other hand, is a person who wants to interrogate. How do we do this? Do we have enough resources? Is it the right time to start? What if this happens? So we are two extremes. I am very fast. Hash is very interrogating. She will want to make sure that everything is in course before, everything is in place before we basically begin. And when COVID began, we decided now we are in the house, we have nothing to do. I mean, we are just having to wait and see where Corona leads us. And we decided to, and for me, I am going to aggressively go into my training. And there we are now marketing ourselves from the house. And we started off, women have a unique talent of making men concentrate on their business for some reason. Yeah. So as we went on, I found myself actually drawn more to working with my wife on Edna Foods. And as we continued, we realized that we need to actually have two arms of the business. We need to have an arm that deals with ready-made food and another one that deals with food supplies. Will actually be fresh and flesh. And this I'm talking about, this idea came in beginning of June, July. Now this is the time we are now saying, let's focus on this, let's go full blast and let's do this at whatever cost. But one of the things that is consistent and important for me is the fact that, remember, my wife is a chef. So she's able to deliver products that are, I not want we want a client coming back and say, you guys give me good products, yeah? To partner with us in the business and down and creating a business plan rather. And from that time, we started off, and I can say in the last 3 months, we had actually stabilized our initial branch along Kiambu Road. Basically, we are now able to do, as I mentioned, the branch of Edna Foods that deals with raw food and food supplies. It's called flesh, yeah. If you are Kikuyu, yeah, yeah. So basically, seeing I'm losing connection. I'm losing connection quite a bit, but it's okay. We have an unstable internet. So what happened? At this time, remember, I'm coming from a place where my wife is a stay-home mom, and we have been without income. Because remember, I lost my job. I got a job thereafter, but my income was not that good because it is basically a sales job. And I realized that everything requires attention. I like how when I look at people who are crying that they have lost money in crowd one, by the way, with all honesty, I have no pity for you. The Bible says there is nothing like not working hard. You know, I'm trying to remember the verse in the Bible that says that talks about sluggards and lazy people. Don't be into scams that tell that called laziness that bring in your money, yeah, and we will make you win. At this time, remember, as I said, we are cash strapped, we don't have money, and what do we have now? Men, the assets that you acquire are important. I decided, my wife and I decided that we now need to get financing from outside. And because our operations were growing, we now need money to basically grow the operations of the business. And somebody said, there's no free money anywhere. And we decided after we already set up our Kiambu Road branch that it's now time for us to focus on creating a business plan that will be able to expand. And in the last few months, we have actually set up 2 new branches. We now have a Mombasa Road branch at just behind Next Gen Mall, and we also have our Kilimani branch, which is just around the Air Center. So what is important for me is the fact that if you have a plan, believe you me, out of these assets that you already have as a man who is in this forum, you can actually be able to based on the assets that you have. Centonomy 101 being told, kindly list all the assets that you have. That piece of land that you have somewhere, how much is it worth? Do a valuation. By the way, for me to get my first funding, we actually had to do a contract, give somebody a private equity kind of an agreement, and they were able to fund us with a good amount of money. Now we are in the phase 2 of fundraising. We are seeking in excess of 3 to say there has to be that thing that as a man you decide, what is it that works best for me? What is it that I can focus on? What are the non-cash assets? Remember, in one of the assets that I have seen, I know relationships are different. And of course, anybody here who is married, the intention is to have a spouse who supports you and who you support. At times, it doesn't always work that way, unfortunately. But if there is something that you can be able to focus on your spouse, that can be able to give you as a family enough family time, and something that you're working on together and growing together with, because I try at times to look at our parents. When I go home and see my dad, they're in sync. You know, they look like they fell in love yesterday. But yet you forget that there are many times probably when you were growing up, you saw them disagree, you saw them. Why? Because they had something that they have been working on together. So they have grown even together. So for me, I think one of the things that we need to do is to be able to culture a business. As it does family, it is more so even able to create an income. And as it creates an income, the purpose is one, to create a legacy, to leave a legacy for our children, that we can be able to plug in our children into our business. And that for us is the intention. Why we are passionate about Excellence Moulders and Edna Foods is that we want to incorporate our sons and our adopted daughters into our business, that they have something they can actually be able to do.
Peter, we're running out of time. So parting shot so that we can get that going. The parting shot. All right, we've really struggled a little bit with the stream at that point, but I really picked up on the points that you had, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time. I really
lost you a bit.
Your time. That's okay, Peter. I'm just highlighting some of the things that you mentioned, and you can respond to some of the questions that have come on social media or on the Zoom platform as well, where we are right now. Peter, that was excellent. I picked up on 3 things that you mentioned. You mentioned, first of all, understanding your non-financial assets or your non-cash assets. You talked about the power of compounding. I've been taking notes. And then you also spoke about the issue around understanding big business with small money. I thought that was profound. I think as guys, yes, there's an image issue. You want to be in big business, but often there's small money. And the power of understanding how business works. I love that you gave the analogy of that, your friend who was in a small business, but he's doing big money. And that's a big deal. So I wanted to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing so openly and being so real with us. That was excellent. Guys, I'm trying to ensure that we move forward. We apologize for the network issues that we were having, but if you were paying close attention, I think you might have been able to pick up on a few things that were said. Guys, as I said, we must be intentional with what we are doing. We can no longer just be trying different things. We must be strategic with what we are going to do. We must step out and actually be focused on certain elements of our growth plan. And that's what the Centonomy program is designed for. I want to tell you a little bit about it. The Centonomy 101 program, which we are going to be starting in February, that's when the next class is the next season is starting, is doing exactly what Peter has broken down. We struggle with personal financial management, just the money management that we have. Every single season that we have been in, and you'll hear it even from others who are going to speak here today, simply understanding where your money goes is a problem that we have. Guys, I know how diligent you are with if you're an employee with your employer's money. When you're giving a report on the business, when you're giving a report on what you have spent, you give to the last cent. You don't leave a certain shilling. But with our personal finances, we are kind of very general. We just kind of don't know where things are going. And what we're trying to do through this program is to be more strategic. So we start off with the money management part. Then we talk about, and each one of these is a separate module that we go through in the Centonomy 101 program. Then we go into what Peter was talking about, time value of money, understanding the compounding effect, not just of your investment, but also of inflation. Because sometimes we plan in future and we don't even know what the future is going to look like. Just to give you an idea of this, in the I know this because my parents were there that time, they were telling me the story. In the 1970s, teachers were being told, you're going in the late 60s into the 70s, school teachers were being told you will retire with a pension of 1,500 shillings per month. And they thought that was going to be a lot, because in the early 1970s, you could buy a car for 15,000 bob. So these guys were thinking, with my salo, 10 months you've bought a car. What they were not seeing was the effect of inflation. So if you're able to calculate, then you'll find yourself in a much better place so that you can adjust your planning for the inflation that's there to come. Then you invest also with that idea of compounding. Then we get into the debt management module. And again, it's very practical. It is, where are your debts? How much are they? How much do they cost? What can you do to get out of them? Let me just give you a tip now so that you understand. With debts, it's always about being able to pay in advance. If you can pay down your debt as quickly as possible, that's how you reduce the total interest. I'll show you an example a bit later on, but I want to give Pastor Simon as much time as possible. Then we get into the planning class. We call it living abundantly. And the example that Peter mentioned there was that we get into a session where now you are going to actually put down the goals that you want to have and put down some ideas also as groups on what you can do to achieve those goals. We then get into the investment classes. There are 3 of them. We talk about treasury bills and bonds and unit trusts, fixed income securities. We talk, how do they work? What are they? Because many people don't even know that right now in this country, you can actually be earning an income of about 10% directly from the government. And they don't even, we see it on the news, but we don't even know what it means. This is accessible to us even today. Where is your money? We talk about it and begin to see what role can it play, especially when it comes to our retirement in terms of income, so that we're not just everybody's in property. You can't build 10 apartments if everyone has built 10 apartments, who is going to live there? So we have to look at different income streams. Then we talk about real estate. Now, when we talk about real estate, we are talking being strategic. In the class, we begin to talk about this. Watch this. The guy who buys 2 acres far away, subdivides and sells those 2 acres as 8 or whatever, he subdivides it. That's the guy who's the investor. If you're the one buying the 8s all the time, you're paying a much higher price. So when it comes to real estate, it's about being strategic. And that's what we talk about in the class. We talk about, if you're thinking about income streams from your real estate, you have to be strategic as well. It's not just building where everyone else is building. Where is their demand? We talk about that. Then we talk about investing in the stock market as well. Now, when we talk about investing in the stock market, it's not just about the stock market, because people think it's just buying and selling shares. No, the strategy is about investing in businesses. And if you understand what makes a fundamentally strong business, then your investment, whether direct or indirect, will bring the result that you want. The rest of the modules from 8, 9, and 10, insurance, estate planning, and taxes, it's about how to protect your money. And all these are taught by industry experts. We have an estate planning lawyer, we have a tax lawyer, and we have an insurance agent who's not coming to sell you insurance, but to tell you how insurance works. Then we finally get into what is the most powerful class, My Financial Plan, where we put together a 5-year financial plan with each one of your goals aligned and the commitment that it will take to get there. Remember, it's like a mountain that we're trying to climb. And so if we're climbing Mount Kenya, you want to make sure that you have enough resources, you have enough things to keep you warm. It's the same thing with your financial plan. You want to make sure that you have enough resources, you have enough things that are protecting you as well, so that you will get to your goal in good time. This is what the Centonomy journey is like. And so I encourage you, even as you're thinking about this, to begin to put together a thought process and a plan on how you're going to strategically take your family from where you are to where you want it to be. Now, Pastor Simon, Mbevi is coming up to speak now. Pastor, if you're ready, you can kindly switch on your screen so that I know that you're present. I know that you are in the house. But one of the things that is so exciting to me, Pastor, I don't know if you noticed, but all our speakers are named after the Apostle Peter. I don't know if there's something prophetic in that. There's Peter, Simon, and Peter. You need to speak to us a little bit about that. But everyone knows Pastor Simon Mbevi. He has really done an amazing job with men in our country, and not just in our country, around the world. Transform Nations has been doing an amazing job in bringing families together, but with a major focus on men. That's why we had to have you here. As always, Pastor, you're the founder and director of Transform Nations. And the topic that we asked you to come and talk about is building our capacity to seize opportunities, especially in this season. I've seen you in so many webinars. I believe that that's one of the ways that you're trying to seize opportunities in this season. Tell us about your journey. Karibu sana, Pastor.
Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate Waithaka, and yeah, I mean, you are there as Waithaka. We have Peter, yes, we have Simon, but that's something good about Peter and Simon. He was a foundation layer, so I'm excited about that. Simon also means one who listens, so I'm a man who loves to listen and hear from others. I am sad I came in late. I would have wanted to hear a lot more wisdom, but thank you for the summary that you gave. That was good as well. Well, I have hung around you a lot. I have come to appreciate money because I think money answers a lot of things. And I so celebrate what you at Centonomy are doing. I think it's a great blessing to have financial literacy. And so just what you're doing is great. And I think for us, what we do as we deal with men is to encourage them to deal with the issue of money. And what we should say is that money is a revealer of character. Money reveals character, and if your character is not good, even if you try to fix your money, then your character will sell you away and will
Pastor,
get you into trouble.
I'm so sorry to disturb you as you on your train of thought. If you can lift your microphone a bit closer to your mouth so that we can hear you a bit clearer. The volume is a bit low, but go ahead now.
Okay. Can you hear me well now?
A little bit more. So. There we go. There we go.
All right. Sorry about that, but I'll try and speak loudly as well. I think I was just saying, we usually say that money is a revealer of character. And so as men, the way we handle money, then it's going to reveal the kind of character that we have. Let me ask Waithaka whether it's possible for me to share the screen so that I share just a few quick slides in the conversation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Just give me a second. I will give you.
Enable me, then that will be great. But glad to see all the men who are here. And the ladies as well. I've seen one or two. As we have this conversation, especially from a man's perspective, then I will say a few things. But thank you very much, Waithaka. We work a lot together. Thank you for the times that you have come and spoken to the men. about money, and we encourage a lot of our men to be able to do this. And so I just tweaked the topic a little bit to call it men and money through COVID-19. So we're looking at seizing the opportunities, looking at what is available out there and really going for it, having the courage to go for it. I think it's been said already that I'm part of Transform Nations. So our vision is healthy families and transforming communities. Our mission is to equip the leaders, especially in the family, but also in the marketplace and community, to be able to impact the area of influence, so that eventually we have national transformation. And then we have the different programs, Man Enough, Intentional Dads, Forefathers. Man Enough has just been huge, and some of you might have heard about it or gotten involved in it. Intentional Moms, Boys to Men, which is mentoring, EZA, which is for the women, and other corporate trainings. So those are some of the programs that we do. And we talk a lot to men. I think currently we have had about 25,000 men who have gone through the men's program. And if we had time, we would have a bit more discussion about the socio-economic realities of this COVID-19 season. And I know you have raised some of them already. And so I'll just go ahead and share a few, but I would have loved for us to interact and I hear some of those. But in the interest of time, let me just move on. Of course, the truth is there's been reduced income. I have a few friends of mine who are living on half the salary that they used to live on, 60% or even no salary, threatened income as well. There's some of us men who may not be, certain that in the next 2 months, you're going to have a job. So threatened income, we're talking about loss of jobs. Some people have actually gone home and I've been told, you're on unpaid leave until we get to find out whether there's going to be job. So a lot of people in that state, and if you're there or your job is threatened, we feel with you and we pray for God's help during this difficult season. Then, of course, there's economic uncertainties, and it's been said this might continue for a while, maybe in the next 2 to 4 years. We may be at a place where we're not too sure of how the economies are going to pick up with now continued lockdown in Europe, and we don't know where else this is going to show up. Lots of mental health challenges, and I think this is especially for us as men because of what happens to us. They say big boys don't cry, but we go through a lot of stress and pressure, and then we, as men generally, we don't talk about it. We stuff it in. We keep quiet about it. I know a man during this COVID-19 who lost his job, and for 2 months, the family did not know that he had lost his job. He just didn't want to say it until, there was a conversation and eventually got to say it. But a lot of mental health challenges and stresses for us as men during this season. It's gone up way higher than it is usually. And on a usual year without COVID-19, 3/4 of the mental cases reported are usually male men. And so you can imagine at this time how much more that is happening. And then, of course, the social challenges that we are having, the ability to relate well at home with our families, with our wives, with our children, and also with friends and with our boys out there. Those are challenges that we are dealing with during this season. And so what are some of the men's temptations in a time like this and generally? Number one is overcommitment to work. Those of us with job or business, it's very easy for us just to hide ourselves in there and be so into it that even though you might be working at home, you're still a stranger to the people at home because of overcommitment, just being too, for men, we measure our greatness, we measure ourselves, our manliness sometimes erroneously through the amount of performance or results that we can get. So it's a very high temptation for a lot of men to be so buried into work that they're not living holistically, that they neglect the other important life realities. Then there's corrupt gain. I think there's been a lot of temptations. I've worked with some of my men, the men we work with, who have had great temptations, being told this is how you can make money quickly. This is the little money you can give as some kickback to get this tender. And during a time like this, it's a huge temptation. I mean, I was approached by someone and said, if you facilitated us with about 10,000 Kenya shillings, we could help you get a tender in one of the counties. And of course it was tempting, but to think again about my values and what I stand for, then I had to say no. So corrupt gain. I think a lot of us as men, we take shortcuts and want to get rich quickly, and eventually that is going to catch up with you in one way or another. Some of the men withdraw and isolate when things get tough, and they just get into their cocoon. They don't know what to do. Instead of coming out and facing the reality, then they withdraw and they isolate. And I've had, some conversations with a few of us men who have been in that situation. Waithaka talked about debt and us getting deeper into it, especially when you lose your job or your income is not good and you begin to reach out for more borrowed money, unhealthy borrowing, and what that could do. We have uncalculated risk. Sometimes as men, we confuse courage for risk, for uncalculated risk, for careless risk. It's good to be courageous and take some steps and grab some opportunities and seize them and have the capacity to do that as men, because courage is a center stone of masculinity. We always taught be courageous, but courage is not recklessness. Courage is calculated risk. Is you get to know where you are at, you need to move out, and you move out because that's the right thing to do, but you have conceded the step that you're taking. That's boldness. But when you just jump into something because you're trying to figure out whether this could work, like a lot of betting ends up being very foolish risk that we take. But being able to calculate your risk and do what is right, in the circumstances. So sometimes as men, we take uncalculated risk or we withdraw and we become cowards and we don't do anything. And then there's obsessive spending. As a friend of mine who has something about cars, and another friend of mine who loves watches. And even during a difficult time like this, in fact, my friend bought a new car just the other day. And I asked him, really, did you need to do that at this time? And after a conversation, he saw what I was talking about. But there's some of us who get obsessed with either watches or rings or certain other things, and you find us spending an enormous amounts of money on something, or repairing cars and doing stuff like that. And these become men's temptations, obsessive in something. And of course, I didn't add here, it's very easy for us then to find ourselves as men spending a lot of money on women out there. On side relationships, on women who look up to us. There are a lot of ladies depending on a lot of us men to survive during this season. And of course, you need to understand your value and how that is going. But let me get down to 4 healthy practices of building your capacity to survive and thrive during this season. I love what John F. Kennedy says. The Chinese use 2 brush strokes to write the word crisis. One brush stroke stands for danger, and the other for opportunity. In a crisis, be aware of the danger but recognize the opportunity. I love this quote. And what he's saying is that during a time of crisis like this pandemic, as men, we need not just have an appetite for danger. We need to be careful about danger, and we need to be aware of it and not run into it, wide-eyed. We need to be men enough to avoid what is dangerous, but we need to be wise and smart enough to see the opportunity, because opportunity is on the other side of the coin of danger. This coin of crisis, it has opportunity on one side, danger on another. And so being able to see the opportunity and then go for it and then avoid the danger that could blow us up. I think that's what we need to get into as manly wisdom. I love a verse here, a proverb from, many years ago. Know the state of your flocks and put your heart into caring for your herds. For riches don't last forever, and the crown may not be passed to the next generation. Very heavy wisdom here. Number one, it says, know your flocks. Get to know where you are at. As you build your capacity to seize the opportunities, know where you are at. Are you in debt? Are you doing okay? Your flocks, of course, those days wealth was measured in terms of livestock or agricultural produce. That was the economy then. And so know the state of your flocks means know the state of your financial reality. What's going on? What problems are you in financially? Where are you doing well? What about your plots and whatever you have? Know the state of your flock. But number two, it says, put your heart into caring for your herds. Of course, give attention and care to what you have so that you don't lose it in the process of this pandemic. Be careful, be wise. Get to programs like Centonomy and get to know how to deal with some of the realities. Care for your herds. Otherwise, they're going to die, or they're going to be taken out or taken away. Care for your herds. Care for your wealth. Care for your heart as well during this season, for your character. We say character is foundational to your riches. And then it says, for riches don't last forever. So understand, it's not just about the wealth and the money, it's a lot more than that. If you pursue the wealth so much and then you lose your family, one day the riches are going to be gone. But what else do you have? So just realize you need to be holistic in your pursuit for riches. And riches is not just about money, it's also about relationships and about what else you have. And I think COVID-19 revealed that to us. When things get crazy out there, we retreat to our families. And so family life is very important because it's where we run to when things get thick in the world and things get locked down. And lastly, it says, for the crown might not be passed to the next generation. In other words, as you do your work and think about where you're going, think next gen. Think about the next generation. Think about the kind of wealth investment in your children, in other people, but in riches that can go to the next generation. Think about that so that you will be able to do this well. All right, let me go to the four of them and then I will conclude. Number one is work to earn, work to earn. And this is just a simple, really principle. You don't work, you don't eat. And I think relying on easy money in terms of gambling and sports betting and stuff like that, it wouldn't take you to the place where you need to go. And so find some genuine work and continue to work. Some of you are already working, so great, keep at it and begin to think, what else can I do? What else can I do to increase, to input more work so that I can gain something? As I said, there's no free lunch, they say. You work for it. And so working hard, thinking about working hard and working smart, finding ways to pivot. I think when this thing hit, the first thing we thought in our organization, all our programs were in-person programs, and we began to think, what do we do? You know, we are in the middle of the programs. The place has been shut down. After I think two or so weeks, we were able to go online, and it's been wonderful to see that right now in our programs online, we have people from 10 other nations that we had not reached before. People from Canada, some parts of Europe that we had not reached. Now they came in. And so we are glad. And now we have realized we'll always have some online programs, even when we go to in-person after COVID. So find some ways to pivot and realize that you've got to work. You've got to think creatively, and you've got to get, you know, this going so that you work to earn. Find new opportunities. And this is where you need some experts to guide you as well. I've called some of my friends. I've listened to some of the things that Centonomy have said about where the opportunities are financially right now. Find new opportunities. There are new opportunities. Been able to write a few books and put them online during this season and realize I could sell a lot more online than I ever sold. And I've been surprised by how many people have had to, buy books. I never put my books into Kindle version. Now I've had to. These are new opportunities. Now I'm selling to people I'd never have sold to. So there are new opportunities, whichever line of business you are in. Open your eyes and begin to see the new opportunities, and then begin to seize them. Be the kind of man that courageously goes for the opportunities. Instead of saying, well, I've lost a job, I don't know what to do, begin to think, what else can I do? You know, necessity is a matter of invention. Begin to invent something you could do. I began to do more agriculture now just to feed my family in ways I wasn't doing before, but I realized here's an opportunity. I could reduce my expenses, and now I'm doing it. So begin to look for ways and opportunities, and once you see them and they're clear, they're opportunities, not traps, go for them. Go for them. Be courageous enough to go for them, of course, advisedly. What are some of the temptations we have as men around this working to earn? Of course, laziness. And there are times I've caught myself just wanting to watch, a lot of series on Netflix and not being able to put in my hours and just lazing out. And I've caught myself and said, man, you've got to work. Over analysis. Sometimes we are paralyzed because of over analysis. We analyze until the opportunity, develops feet and goals. The thing about opportunities, the door doesn't open for too long usually, and you've got to walk into it. Don't over analyze. As long as you're convinced, the basics, you've talked to those who know and understand that, and the opportunity is there, the door is open. Walk in, and advisedly, of course. Then passivity, sometimes we become passive, and the warrior in us is not alive. We're not fighting for what we can get. And so we become passive and withdraw and let opportunities pass. Sometimes we overwork, as I said earlier, but with ignorance, you don't even find the work out there that you could jump into. This is the thing. Find work to do, grow in doing it by developing yourself, creating the skill, going for trainings and growing in that way, and then give it your best. Give it your best so that whatever it is you're selling, whatever it is you're doing, you have a niche. People would want to buy that from you, the services, because you're good at it. You're good at it. This is your niche. You do it well. You've done your background and you've grown into it. Let me go to the second one pretty quick. The second one is plan and budget. Again, Centonomy would teach you this better than I could. I had to review my expenditure during this time and knock off some budget items that were not necessary for a time like this. I had to talk to the family, and we go through the budget lines and say, we can do without this, we can do without this, we could reallocate this to here. And we were able to do the budget together and, reallocate a lot of money to other things during this season, including building an emergency, a larger emergency fund because of what is happening. So review your expenditure against your income. Cut costs where you can cut costs. Review your financial goals, the goals you had. Can you still get there? Do you need to reorganize it so that as you grow your capacity to seize what is there, then you're not carrying a heavy burden of need and lack because you haven't organized your budget and planned yourself well. You need to travel light in terms of budget so that you can run into opportunities during the season. Some of the temptations of men at a time like this is blind optimism or optimism. I mean, I've met some men, a friend of mine lost a lot of money 2 months ago because he got into something because he was just optimistic. Let me try this. It might work. He talked to me about it. I said, I am not sure about this. He said, I'll jump into it. Well, he got burned. So as you think about, some of the things that you want to do to increase your income versus your expenditures, you review your budget. Don't be blind in optimism. Don't get to a point where you say, I think things will work on. I'll continue to run my budget the way it is, and I know things are going to work well. That's blind. Think in a sober way. Don't just people please and want to spend a lot of money on family just to please them, not because you have the money or on other people or things like that. People pleasing is eventually is digging your own grave. Don't be irresponsible in the way you spend your money and what you use it for and what you invest in and the budget items. Don't go deeper into debt. In other words, be responsible as you look at your budget and plan. Make wise decisions. Take the right steps. Let me go to number 3. I'm just about to finish. So number 1, we're saying work to earn and look around the opportunities that are there and go for them. Number 2, we're saying travel light, rethink your budget, replan it, think where you're going, be wise in that so that you can have the freedom now to run into the opportunities you get. Of course, save and invest. Continue to save to the degree that you can. I had to review my saving plan and see what I'm able to save, but not do away with it altogether. And then look at some of the priorities during the season. And also think about where I wanted to invest, what other opportunities are there. I got a very good opportunity in real estate during this season. So I had to, withdraw from a few other places where I was in to grab this after some advice. And I'm glad I took that step. So think soberly about savings and investment. Of course, realize emergency fund is very important. If you're in Kenya, then you know insurances are beginning to pull out of COVID-19 coverage of insurance. So make sure you have some emergency fund for what might happen anytime so that you're prepared. Keep saving where you can. Be wise in the way you use your savings. So those of you who are about to dig into some of your savings because you don't have a job, then be, plan towards that so that you don't just put your hand in and pull things out and then use them without having planned what may need to happen in the next several months. And find the right investments for the season. As I've said, you can be helped a lot by those who have a lot of knowledge in this. What are some of the temptations we have, especially as men, around saving and investment? Eating up our savings at a time like this, just because we're justified to do that and we use it into something. I had that temptation 3 months ago. There's a little cash saving I put in the house for emergency in dollars. And I was at a place where I needed some money urgently. And the temptation to say, let me just pull this out. I'll reimburse that sometime was very huge. And I'm glad I didn't pull it out because a few weeks later, I needed it for an emergency and then I replenished again. But don't be tempted to eat up your savings and the savings you put in the bank towards certain other things. If you're at a desperate place, of course, then you can use them for what is priorities, but don't fall into into that temptation. Don't pull out of investments unadvisedly, or don't rush into some without advice during the season. You could very quickly burn your fingers. So we're saying differentiate bread between bread and seed, and eat the bread, sow the seed. Know, the difference between the bread to eat and the seed to plant or sow. Be careful about that. Lastly is give generously. Give generously. And I think why I wanted to put this up is because at a time like this, there are lots of opportunities to be a blessing to other people. I love what John C. Maxwell says, success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and then sowing seeds that benefit others. I love those that three-legged approach. You know your purpose, you know what you're about, and then you put yourself into it, because therein lies the investment that will give you a lot back. And then you grow to reach your maximum potential. That's the other thing. So keep growing yourself through courses, through reading books and other ways. You stretch yourself, grow to your maximum potential. But remember to sow seeds that will benefit others. Touch the lives of others as you move on, and great opportunities during this season. I think part of the courage that we have as men is reaching out to bless other people. A friend of yours could have lost his job and is really in a bad place, or a relative or someone else, and your ability to reach out and give generously during this time is probably the greatest investment of all. I should tell men when I talk to them that investment offshore and other places could be depleted by a big pandemic or earthquake or something else. Investment could dive down very seriously. But what you have invested in others, what you have done to give to a worthy cause, to help someone else, to lift up a friend, that is in your account eternally. Nothing can take it out. It's in your account. I should say men stand tallest when they reach out furthest and lowest to lift up another person. When you reach out furthest and lowest to lift up another person, then you stand tallest as a man. And so give generously. That's a boldness we're also talking about here, building your capacity to handle the opportunities of a season, many opportunities to give, to bless someone, to lift up another. You never know tomorrow, but being able to do that. So give to the struggling at home, give the struggling around you, give. And I had a chance of raising some money from some of my friends, and we went to our rural home, a place where I grew up and went to school, and we helped about 200 families during this season, supported them. And I'll never forget the faces I saw as these poor people came up to me and said, thank you for the sacrifice, to all the people who sacrificed, and just the blessing that's worth a lot more. That's worth more than a German car. Just the blessing of people because you've invested in them and given generously, giving to a worthy cause, whatever worthy cause that has been, give towards that. The temptations are to hold back because of the season and not give, to be greedy and hold on to what you have and just get more for yourself and hold on to it, hold and not give, ignore opportunities to bless others and just think, I can't do that right now. But I think the thing is to give generously, and the more we give, the more God blesses us in certain ways, and we get to see opportunities around us and we rise up to them. So I just want to come to a conclusion right now. And this is a conclusion. Open your eyes. The opportunities are there. Just open your eyes around you and through what you're doing and see the opportunities to pivot, to turn things around, to open new doors, to grab your hand into a new line of business. Open your eyes and see that in every crisis there are opportunities, and you need to open your eyes wide enough to see that, and then go for it. Number two, educate your mind. This is a time to take some courses, to sign up for Centonomy, to take another course. And as you wait for February, you're welcome to take some of the short courses that we're doing for masculinity and fathering and others. So educate your mind, grow yourself, develop yourself for success. You've got to develop yourself for what's coming. And then put your hands to work. Get down to it. Don't allow yourself to be lazy during this time. Don't give Netflix too much money because of watching it throughout and then sacrificing your future on that. Put your hands to work. Write some books. Those of you can open new lines of business, see opportunities out there. Put your hands to work, rise up and get to work. And many people are going to be wealthy in genuine ways during this crisis, not just the fake billionaires of COVID, but real genuine billionaires who are going to grow wealthy because they saw opportunities, they put their hands to work, and they got to do it. And I pray that many of you here, if not all of you, will be able to make the best out of this situation, make some lemonade and enjoy it during this time. Lastly, I would say walk with others. Men have a tendency of isolating. If there's a time you needed your boys, you needed a community of men that can encourage you and challenge you and call you out when you're doing some stupid things, this is a season. So walk with men. Never walk alone. There's a team in Europe that says that. I'm not necessarily their fan, but never walk alone. I'm fan of the slogan, never walk alone, walk with others and build the kind of community that walks with you. And that part of community and village is Centonomy as I speak some wisdom into us. So I think those are the things I wanted to share. I hope they are a blessing to all of you. And I hope all of us build our capacity and gain the courage to take the right steps to seize the opportunities of our day. Thank you, Waithaka.
Pastor Mbevi, as always, amazing. You don't want to join the Liverpool crew. Why have you disowned them? What's going on there? Come to the winning side.
They may win once in a while, but that is not what makes a great team.
Thank you so much. Wisdom, what wisdom? I'm taking notes as always. I hope everyone is doing the same as I am. If you have a question, you can just type it real quick. We'll see if we can take just one question before you go. Type your question into the chat box either on Facebook, YouTube, or just here on Zoom, and we'll give Pastor a chance to answer that. But I was taking notes, Pastor. You said work to earn. So it's not just, sitting back and waiting. Plan and budget, and I'm going to talk about that shortly. Save and invest, and that is a key part to the wealth creation story that we're talking about here. And finally, give generously. I find that to be just so amazing. It's funny that you use that analogy of a soccer team as well. Sorry, I may have been watching a bit too much Netflix, but there's a documentary on Netflix on great coaches. And I love the quote there, I think it's by Jose Mourinho, who was saying, I don't coach players. He said, I can never teach Ronaldo to be who he is. What he does is he coaches teams. So when it comes to success, even on that level, it is all about the strategy for success. And I think what you have been speaking about is so great. So I'm just checking to make sure that I didn't miss a question that came through. If you had one, this is a great time to ask. Edwin is asking, Pastor, what's your take on men and ego towards certain types of investment? I think Peter, before you spoke, came on and he talked about us men, we like big business so that it looks like it's great, but there's often small money. And we forget that sometimes small businesses can actually, in terms of the view of it, he gave an example of a gentleman who sells the lining for cupcakes and he's doing millions. And it sounds like it doesn't sound like an insurance company. It doesn't sound like he's running a bank, but he's making millions from sharing, from selling cupcake holders, So maybe you can speak towards that ego issue.
Well, that's a good question. I think we have what some psychologists called super ego for us as men. And sometimes we take some investments and do some things just to stroke our ego. And of course, that eventually becomes stupid in the light of the bigger picture of investments. And I've been there. I think it's not just blaming the guys out there, Waithaka. I've had some egos sometimes when my wife or someone else told me a wise advice about something I wanted to do. But I had this ego, I can do this. I have done my my own investigation, and eventually I get burned and I have to swallow my pride and say, yeah, I think you are right. So I think as men, we just need to be smart enough to realize humility can save us a lot of trouble, and realizing that ego at the end of the day could push you into a wrong place. And I think that's why, Waithaka, we said you need some community around you who can call you out when they see you, driven by your ego. And ego is like, or pride, it's like bad smell, bad breath. You're the last one to know you have it. And so you need other people around you to tell you, man, when is the last time you brushed your teeth? This ego is great, is huge, and it's going to land you into a ditch. I think we need other people that can talk to us like that. And maybe just to add on what Collins Limo is saying, that I'm a psychologist, I'm not employed at the moment, but I'm always sharing and teaching strategies to manage problematic emotions to others online through WhatsApp and Facebook. Is that giving generously? Absolutely. Absolutely. Give and it shall come back to you. But as you continue to give, and I commend you for that, and I've done a lot of free seminars during this season, but then it's also to see the opportunity in that. The more people listen to you and find out what you do, the more you can begin to do some paid seminars. I'm doing that later this evening. I talk a lot about discipline. I've done several sessions for free online, but now I have a paid one this evening. And a lot of people have paid in from different nations to come into it. So you can give generously, but now that you're not working, also once in a while, use it as an opportunity to support yourself. And you find the people who have enjoyed what you've done out there, then will be able to pay and be able to join in. So that's some of the ways you can build yourself in that way.
As always, Pastor, such amazing. I wanted to bring Peter back in. Peter Getao, if you don't mind, just switch on your camera. You wanted to contribute to that discussion. I want to give you a bit of a moment to do so. Peter, are you there? Add your thought real quick. Wow, Peter, we've really struggled, I think, with your internet today. Are you there? Just give it a try. You're on mute. So just unmute now. And they'll be ready to go. There we go. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor, for the nuggets of wisdom. I think that was powerful. I think this is actually a big problem with us as men, and it's because men we unlike and you'll see this. Look at us as men when we are driving in town. What happens if somebody has a bigger car? The perception is, yeah, that guy is doing well, yeah, and it fills my ego. And I think for me, I've had an opportunity, either good or bad, to live through the cycles. I started working quite early, and you have some small money around you, and I realized that we men buy things because of ego. For example, they bought a certain kind of a car. We buy cars not because it is important for me, but it's because I want to have this supporting my ego to come up to a certain level. I remember when I got my accident last year. Then I was driving a relatively good car. I was driving a Prado. And as things would have it, of course, you go through the ups and downs, and as life would have it, you have to scale down. And of course, one of the things you'll have to do is to dispose some of those things that you have. And I ended up at a level where currently I'm driving a simple Nissan Sunny B13, which serves me perfectly well. But I realized something. Among what the thought associating my self-worth with us as men, I find myself comfort and I find my ego better positioned because I'm in the club of boys who drive off-road vehicles. I'm in the club of boys who wear a certain class of watch. I'm in the club of boys who wear certain kind of clothes. We hang out at a certain joint. But really, the question is for us as network, or is it just feeding my ego and that's it? We have to realize that I gain my value out of becoming more valuable as a person. The fact that, as Pastor Simon has put it, I can uplift another man to come from a level where they are down, that feeds my ego and that's enough. I do not need to be driving a big car for me to feel by the society. And I have not been of help to anybody. And I work from the assets or from the things that we need and self. What is in my heart? What does my heart feel about me? And that then will be the biggest aspect and will be the biggest feeder of our ego. I will feel that I am worth, not because of what I have, but because of the contribution I have put. And I think I just want to thank Pastor Simon enough for more. I cannot thank you enough for having this thing, and I'm definitely going to be next season.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Peter, as always. Pastor Simon, a parting shot on your behalf.
Well, thank you very much. I like what he has said. I think what I would say, and I know Stanley is asking about unpredictable income. I think, Waithaka, you're going to answer that very well. So I'll not attempt to answer that. I think I'll just remind us as men what I usually say. Masculinity sits on a secure three-legged stool of honor, duty, and care. And so as we think about money during this time, let's be honorable, let's maintain our character, let's do what is right and needed, let's be men of honor. Number two, let's pick up our duties, our responsibilities, and not neglect them during a season like this. And lastly, let's be caring towards others. And so it's been a blessing. Thank you very much. And I pray that we'll continue to see ways of working together with Waithaka as we help the men grow in masculinity, and as you work with us, all of us as men, to equip us to be able to deal with our money well. So thank you very much, and God bless everyone.
Thank you. Where can we see more of your stuff, Pastor?
Yeah, on our Facebook page, Transform Nations, there are books there that you can get. So Transform Nations, social media and website as well, Transform Nations. You will find a lot of details there.
We really appreciate your time. I know how valuable it is. Go and prepare for your event that's happening later. I know the amount of work that goes there, but the insights that you have shared are powerful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have a bit of time, you can go through some of the comments and see if you can privately chat both on Facebook. Not just on Facebook, YouTube, and here on Zoom. Just have a look and see if you can reply to some of the issues that have come up. I wanted to mention, guys, if you want, because I know this is something that has been spoken about often. Let me show you the level of practicality that we get into in the Centonomy 101 program. I want to show you, when we talk about budgeting, we're not just talking about budgeting in general. I know people hear budgeting, it's like I've budgeted all my life, but we are being practical. So when you heard Pastor Simon saying that during times of crisis, you have to be able to scale down and other times grow. So when we do this, we have what is called the ABC budget, where we help you to understand what are you currently spending. And that's just your normal budget that you have. But we take it further and we begin to separate it into A, B, and C. A being what is essential, you need it for life. B being important, but not essential. Important, but not essential. And then C is everything else. So if you have been able to do your budget like this, in times of a great increase or times of crisis, you're able to adjust and you know what comes and what goes out. So in this case, you know, for instance, if you're under pressure, you'll be focused on your A expenses and you can maybe adjust your B's and C's. You know, things like, for instance, just to give you an idea, food and household is always going to be an A expense. You need to feed your family and where you live. But sometimes some of the things that we have, for instance, you don't have to buy clothes every month. You don't have to necessarily spend on all the Netflix that we've been talking about here and any kind of entertainment. So if you're able to separate your budget like that, in times of crisis, you're able to adjust. And this is the kind of budget that we take you through. And if budget gives you problems, you know that term, you can call it a spending plan. For those who want a little bit more information about this, I'll be sharing just now in the chat box on all the platforms, a slightly longer video where our founder, Waithaka Ndwati, takes you through understanding the ABCs of budgeting. It's really powerful and it's going to help you along the way. I wanted to show you also how important it is just to be able to look at some of the, understand some of the issues around what we own. If we can begin to understand, as Pastor said, take account of what we own, then we're able to make adjustments where necessary. If he knew where that property was, then he's able to make an adjustment on the investment that he wants to make. So one of the tools that we use in the class is this called the balance sheet. And this, just like your business balance sheet, shows you where am I right now and what do I have in store to achieve the goals that I want. We break it down so that you're able to understand. It's real practical. It's putting down numbers on a piece of paper as well as the investment strategy. I wanted to give you an example of that, if you don't mind, just for a second, of how practical we get on this. I wanted to show you some of the choices that you can make. And you know, we hear things like, if you've taken debt, pay it down faster and you'll save. But I want to show you the actual amount so that you can really begin to understand, what if I make this choice, what can I be able to do? Let's say, you know, we've been thinking about this and we say, well, let's borrow and, you know, we want to build a property. So let's say you said you wanted to borrow about 5 million shillings. This is a loan, what we use in the debt class called a loan amortization schedule. Let's say we borrowed 5 million and let's say we borrowed it on a mortgage. So we got a bit of a better rate, let's say about 13%. And let's say we borrowed it for 20 years. I want to show you what that choice makes. So if we borrowed for 5 million shillings for 20 years at 13%, that means monthly we'll be paying 58,578 for 240 months. And we will be doing, and we'll pay interest alone of 9 million shillings. Now, when you hear about paying extra early, I want to show you the financial benefit of it. If this person just chose on this same loan that they have taken, just to put in an extra 10K per month, let's just say they're able to do that. Where that money comes from your budgeting plan, and we help you to do that. I want you to see the significant difference that there can be on the interest that you're going to pay by simply paying earlier. Watch this. You'll be paying, if you do this just on a normal mortgage, that's 9 million in interest. Watch this, by paying an extra 10K per month on this same mortgage, what happens? You cut your interest by almost half, 4.9 million. And you not only do that, but you cut the amount of time that you're going to spend paying that loan. So when you're in the class, we are being practical. How do you get there to be able to achieve the goals that you want to do? It's not just about talking. Guys, we have to be strategic. And so when we're doing this, let me just get back to the presentation where we had. And we're just about to end with our final speaker, Peter Mbatha, amazing gentleman who's going to share great insights with you. This is the time to make those choices that you are having right now on where you're going to go. We cannot any longer be just hoping that things will work out. So I encourage you to sign up for the Centonomy 101 program as soon as possible. As I took you through it earlier on, let me just get this up on the screen for you. Did I get the right screen? Excuse me just for 1 second as I get the right presentation up. Yeah, there we go. Excuse me. I want us to begin to understand what that means. Remember, we talked about think of it in 3 stages: money management, understand how money works. Then you get into the investment so that we are linking our money management to the investments. If we can be able to clear our debts faster or get the right kind of debt for the work that we're doing, then we can grow our investments, and then we protect our money with a strategic plan moving forward. I wanted to mention that today, don't wait for another day. The classes are available online. I saw some people asking the question and saying, what about us people in diaspora? It is available for you right now where you are. We run the classes on a digital platform just like this, where you learn, you receive your notes and your materials in advance on soft copy. You're able to participate the way you're participating here, and the classes run smoothly. They begin on the 9th of February in 2021. Your commitment, this is how it works, is just 1 class per week for those 12 weeks. So during 1 week, we offer the same class 4 times: on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evening East African time, and on Saturday morning East African time, as you can see, 6 p.m. during the week and 9 a.m. on Saturdays. What does that mean? It means that if you, for instance, had committed to come in on Tuesday, but something happened in your space, you couldn't attend, you can attend on Wednesday. So this gives you the flexibility. If you know there's a wedding coming up on Saturday, if you can attend weddings anymore, and you're going to go, then you can say, I'll come earlier during the week on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday and attend one of those classes. So we've designed it to be as flexible as possible. So you just do 1 2.5-hour class per week for 12 weeks. Because you have shown up on this day, we have a special offer on registration for you. It's only 500 shillings if you register today. And on tuition, because we know we are still in the COVID-19 season, we've got a 10% lockdown discount just for you. And you can pay it in 2 different ways. The first way is 3 installments on a monthly basis. So the first installment on or before the first class. 4 weeks later, the next month, you pay the next installment, and then another 4 weeks later, you pay the final installment. That's one way to go. But now we have understood, I know we have to give as much help as possible during this season, and we want as many people, as many men like yourselves to benefit from this. And so we've got another program now that will help you to make that payment. It's called the Lipa Pole Pole Payment Plan. It starts now in November, so you can register today with just 500 bob. That special offer is for you because you showed up today. And then you pay monthly, as you can see on the screen. It's much easier on the pocket on a monthly basis, just so that you can begin to benefit. So if you start making those payments now, 8,000, 8,000, 6,6, 5,5, and 5,5, you'll be able to accomplish the same goal. We said at Centonomy, we keep talking about making your financial goals into bite size. And because we've made that commitment, we are going to share that commitment with you. If we begin to make those payments as far as we are concerned right now, we'll achieve the same goals. So as I said, you have shown up today. This is the day to sign up. Don't wait. Don't wait for another crisis. You'll hear from others on our social media on how the preparation of an emergency fund, like Peter was saying, the preparation of your assets can begin to prepare you for another crisis like this, and also to take advantage, as Pastor Mbevi was saying, of the amazing opportunities that are out there, even in a crisis time like this. So I encourage you, this is the time to sign up. We've got a special offer for you because you showed up here for 500 bob to register today. And the way to register is through our M-Pesa number. And we've also got a method if you're in the diaspora that you can be able to pay through the bank. And I encourage you, if you need that information, reach out to Maureen, who's on her details are on the screen at the bottom there, maureen@centonomy.com. She'll help you with those payment options. But for everyone else, go to your phone right now, register 500 bob, and you begin that journey. As I said, I'm going to share some of the lessons we've got along the way during this session. So how you register, just put that there, 500 shillings to the pay bill 986850 that we have there. The account number, just write your first name and write 101 afterwards so that we can know what this is for. I really, really, really encourage you, don't wait. This is the time to get there. Now, it's such a pleasure because he's a good friend of mine. I'm sure you saw him. We did a great video with Caroline Mutoko a couple of years ago on men and money, and I've called him back because Peter has been an encouragement to me, the lessons that he has learned. He's not just a Centonomy alumni, he's been in banking for many years. He's a financial expert, and he's here, Peter Mbatha, to share his experiences on how to create, manage wealth, and grow your assets. Peter, how are you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, Waithaka. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Very clearly, thank you.
Thank you so much. So once again, thank you, Waithaka. It's always a pleasure to be engaged with this great family called Centonomy. And I can see we are running short in terms of time, and so I'll do my best to manage within the given time.
Peter, you can take until the end. I've told my story. Aim for 12 p.m. and we're good.
Thank you for that, Waithaka. So let me just start by introducing myself, and first and foremost to thank the audience that we have today. I'm sure we have an audience representing probably all the regions of the world, Waithaka, and so I just want to say good morning from Nairobi, Kenya, and welcome. I think for those of you who've been in this session from the moment we started about 2 hours.
Peter, you went on mute. Yeah. Just unmute yourself, Peter, if you don't mind. There we go.
Have I been talking to myself all this time? You
talked to yourself for a moment. I was wondering, where did you go? But go ahead. So
once again, thank you, Waithaka, for the opportunity to be in this session today. I just want to encourage those of us who've been with us since morning. If you can just stand and stretch a bit as I introduce myself. If you don't have paper and pen, please pick a piece of paper or a book and see if you can jot 1 or 2 points from the few experiences that I'll share. So who am I? My name is Peter Mbatha. And as I was thinking of how I'll introduce myself, I remembered I met a friend yesterday who told me they were challenged at one point to describe themselves without using their job title, what they do, their family, what they own. And I thought, wow, I think that's the best way to define ourselves or to describe ourselves. And so I would say Peter Mbatha is a solution provider. I always use myself that way. And I'm very passionate about financial investment. Centonomy is family. I connected with Centonomy 13 years ago when I attended my Centonomy 101 class. That must have been season 9. Waithaka, I think you are close to season 30 as we are talking today, and congratulations.
Thank you.
As I start, I also want to congratulate Centonomy. Well done, kudos, guys. I'm happy to see you online finally. I think in all the talks we've had, the question always is, when are you going online, so that those of us who are not in Nairobi can attend your classes. And so congratulations. I think that was one of the greatest achievements and news for you, even with COVID. You were able to go online. A few questions that were asked as I start were, how can I invest when I'm earning less than 20,000? I think somebody else asked, how can I invest and save when I earn through commissions, which is unpredictable income? And I think by just sharing the few experiences I want to share with you this morning, I hope I'll be able to answer those questions. And I think there was one last question by Anno Irimo asking, is Centonomy 101 online? And on behalf of Waithaka and the Centonomy family, I do want to confirm, yes, Centonomy 101 class is available online. So I've been requested to talk about building wealth, how you manage wealth, and how you grow assets. I think I want to start by saying I attended my 101, Centonomy 101 class in 2013, that is 7 years ago. And so I'm still work in progress. I'm not an expert. I've not reached there yet. I've achieved quite a bit, and I thank God for the lessons I learned in Centonomy. And I think that's partly what I'd like to share today and what I've been able to do even with the lessons that we learned. And I think as we start, as I talk about building wealth, many times Waithaka has defined wealth, and Waithaka, allow me to paraphrase. If I recall, you always say wealth is the ability to maintain your lifestyle and to continue living the way you live without having to necessarily work. And so I hope everybody who's joined us today who is asking, how can I build wealth? I hope they'll be able to remember that can be a working definition of wealth for us, being able to maintain your lifestyle or live the way you are living today without having to work. And so before I go straight into how do you build wealth, I think for me, I've always said, because I have many people who come to me and they ask, Peter, how do I invest? And I always take everybody back to this one very critical and core question. And the question is, why do you want to build wealth? I will repeat that. Before you ask where you can invest or what to invest in, I believe the most critical question to answer is, why do you want to build wealth? I would be happy to share with you the answers I gave myself when that question was asked me, again, around 2013, as we were doing the Centonomy 101 class. And I went home and I gave it thought, and I told myself, I don't want to come up with many points. And I said, I'll only write 3 very critical reasons why I want to build wealth. And in my case, and this doesn't have to be your situation as well, men, and the ladies who've joined us today, number 1 for me was, I felt I needed to build wealth so that I can own my own home. Number 2, I wanted to build wealth so that I could give my children the best education. And number 3, I knew I want to build wealth so that I can retire comfortably. But then as we were continuing with the classes, and I remember through the many instructors, we were even challenged more to be more specific. And so I was asked, yes, these are the 3 clear things you want to do, but when and how? And so I went further and redefined this, and I was more specific, and I told myself, I would like to own my own home in the next 10 years, so that that house fully belongs to me. So that was a clearer goal. I want to own a home, let's say by 2025, and it should be fully owned in my name. When it comes to my kids' education, again, I refined that and I said, I would want by the time each of my child turns 18 to have enough funds in the bank to be able to take them to any college or university that they would desire to study in. Again, putting a time period to it and an amount. And so I think I like the example that was given before. If you want your child to go to Strathmore University or to USIU in the next 15 years, how much do you think school fees will be? And so you start working backwards and you are able, for instance, to be practical by putting up an education or taking up an education policy and paying on a monthly basis, so that in those 15 years, you already have the amount that will be required. And finally, in terms of retiring comfortably, again, I refine this by simply saying, how much do I think I will need per month to be able to live comfortably as I'm living today while working? And again, I was able to put a number to it. And I know I want to retire by a given year. So just for illustration purposes, assuming I want to retire by 2030, I know how much I'll be needing per month. And with that, started working backwards by picking different investment vehicles and ways of preparing for that period. So I would say that for me forms a very good introduction. Why do you want to build wealth? And for the audience watching us today, even after this session, take time, jot down the reasons why you want to build your wealth. And I believe once you answer that question, then we can move to the next question of, then how do I manage the wealth after I've built it? But before we go to management of wealth, I would say, once you've defined why you want to build wealth, then take the next course of action, which is to learn. It's difficult to do something that you don't know. So how do you learn about building wealth? Attend classes where they teach about building wealth. And I think today is a fantastic opportunity. Centonomy is one of the very few organizations in this country, and now they're available online, that offers simple and practical ways through which you can build wealth. And so I'd encourage everybody who is listening to us today, they've mentioned the discounts that they are giving. Please go ahead, prepare yourself, make that payment, and prepare to get started. Once you've learned, then I believe the next critical step is to start small and grow gradually. One of the greatest lessons I learned when I attended Centonomy 7 years ago was in one of the classes, they told us, go and interview somebody you know personally who has grown wealth and has grown wealth in a clean way. And I'll never forget that interview session with a friend of mine. Allow me not to mention his name for privacy's sake, but he was very candid, he was very open. And from what he shared with me 7 years ago, I have learned a lot and borrowed a lot from that. And I keep referring to those notes. So I'll encourage you in a similar manner. After you've learned how to build and grow your wealth, look for somebody who is doing what you enjoy doing in terms of investments and engage them and question them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So having addressed that first bit, I think I want to quickly just jump to the next bit of, then once you've started building the wealth, how do you go about managing your wealth? And this is our second part. And I would say I have only 2 pointers here for today. Number one, I would say be careful and deliberate to set up financial goals, which are smart. And I think I gave an example. If it is a house you want to own, then you need to be clear, how does that house look like? For example, is it a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom mansionette? Where do you want it? Do you want it in Kilimani, in Diani, in Nakuru? How much do you think it will cost? And how long or by when do you want to have that particular house? When you answer those questions, then you have a clear goal. And with that clear goal, you can start working towards achieving your objective. And that is how basically, from my experience, because this morning I'm sharing my experience, that is how I've seen myself able to accomplish and manage the little assets that I've been able to acquire and the wealth that I'm still in the process of creating. The second bit that I'd like to mention in terms of managing wealth is, as you get into the process of growing and managing your wealth, be deliberate about tracking and monitoring how you are doing. And the easiest way to do this, and I would encourage the audience that is with us today, is pick a financial mentor, pick somebody that you trust and engage them. Ensure you set timelines when you can sit down and review together how you are doing. For instance, if you have 5 goals that you would like to achieve by December 2021, make sure you have put that down in writing. Go through the 5 items with your financial mentor. And you can agree that on a quarterly basis, you will do reviews. So end of March, end of June, end of October, and by December, you can be regularly reviewing and monitoring how you are progressing. And where necessary, as you do these reviews, then you'll be able to adjust appropriately so that where you need to make a change, you can do so and in good time. So in a nutshell, I would say those are the key pointers I would like to share today in terms of how do you build wealth and how do you manage your wealth. I want to talk about 2 more items, and I'll do my best to close in the next few minutes. And the next one is, how then do you grow your assets? Waithaka, you'd be happy to know, because I've had chats with you in this session and even one-on-one. I learned with time that you can only go so far as an individual. However, sometimes you need to partner with friends and people who are like-minded, so that then you have a bigger pool, which will enable you to do more together. But I think more critical is ensuring that these are like-minded people you share similar values, so that in between the journey, you don't realize you are chasing different things and different dreams. And in my case, I'm blessed to be in a group. We call ourselves Baraheri. We are 3 couples, and we've been able to build each other a lot in the last almost 10 years. And so I'd encourage our audience as well. And you don't have to be in a chama or an investment group, but look for people who you can pull together, invest together, and this will help you grow exponentially, because you can only grow so much as an individual. I've seen power in pulling together as groups. Finally, and this is a bonus, Waithaka was not asked to talk about this, although I had Mbevi touch on it briefly, is after you've built your wealth, you've managed it, and you've grown your assets, how then do you mitigate against risk? And I'm basically just adding this point because I realize we are living at a very risky period during this pandemic. And I'll just give 3 key pointers. 1, let us reconsider our spending habits. I like the budget that Waithaka shared with us. Look at the entertainment budget. Look at the trips you take. Look at the meals you probably enjoy taking coffee every evening maybe, and ask yourself, must this continue in the same way? In my case, one of the things I've done is to reduce the going out, reduce the number of trips. I used to go to the farm frequently, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. Now I'll go once where necessary, so that I can save a bit and be able to put that money in other investments. So let us reconsider our spending habits. And I think Mbevi also mentioned that. Number 2, if you have borrowed, I urgently plead with you, please go and renegotiate with your lenders. If you've been affected by the pandemic period, go be faithful and honest with them. Let them know your income has been reduced by this amount, or you've lost your job and this is the plan you'd want to take, or agree with them a plan that would enable you clear your debt. Number 3, let us build an emergency fund. I think I saw that in Mbevi's PowerPoint, but he didn't talk about it. Emergency funds are a must. I think if there's anything that has taught us we need to have an emergency fund, it is this pandemic. And in simple definition, an emergency fund is a set of funds that you put aside, you don't touch it for a rainy day. And I believe COVID was one of those rainy days. And finally, look for ways to protect your wealth. Centonomy taught us how to do this by using insurance, estate planning, and even preparing for death by taking the last respect insurance, so that when you pass on or somebody close to your family passes on, it doesn't become a burden to those who are left alive. And so, dear ladies and gentlemen who've been able to join us this afternoon, this morning and this afternoon, I just want to thank you and say, Waithaka, asante sana to the Centonomy family for giving me an opportunity to share this, and I hope I kept my time. God bless you.
Brother, you did even better than I thought. I mean, always amazing to talk. And I really encourage guys, if you can, go through the Centonomy social media page. We've got lots of extra material that's out there. Peter, I just want to quickly respond to Brian Cargo. Brian Cargo was asking, I hope there's a recording of this session. Yes, Brian, immediately after this video will be live on our Facebook, Centonomy Facebook page, and also the Centonomy YouTube. It's actually live there now. So in case you missed any part of the presentation, you can be able to go in there and try and get those nuggets as we did. I love that you brought in that aspect about working in partnerships. Peter, as always, I know you'll remember some things that I might forget in a session like this, but it's part of the program. We talk about how do we begin to work together with others? What are the things that make investment groups, chamas, that's what we call them here in Kenya, investment groups, how do we make them work? How do you build that kind of relationship to get you in there? The idea of the Centonomy 101 program is to give you the overall strategic plan for the financial gain that you want to get. And guys, this is the thing. We can stand here and I can describe for you how swimming works. You get into the water, you float, then you move your arms in a cyclical direction and it'll propel you forward through the water. I assure you it is completely a different experience being told what it is to swim and what it is to get into the water and swim. And so we don't want you to leave this place without getting into it. How you get into it is to sign up for the program called Centonomy 101. I told you it's broken down into managing money, understanding investments, and you don't want, many people want to come into this program to learn about investments, but they don't want to learn how to manage the money. But where is the money to invest coming from? That's what we are addressing, and you heard Peter talking about that. And then finally, protecting your money and having a financial plan for the next couple of years. I want you to benefit from that by registering today. Only 500 shillings to register today. And then, as you can see, Maureen and the details for reaching out to Maureen, who's the head of our personal financial management program, she will be able to reach out with you and give you the plan on how we can be able to pay for the rest and also prepare for the class as it comes along. So if you have any questions, kindly email maureen@centonomy.com or call on 0700036433. The details are here on the screen. Remember, we have the Lipa Pole Pole plan, so that it's about money management. So we're helping you to manage your cash flows over the next couple of months, but still get the benefit of what we're doing here in the class. For those who are who are in Kenya, you can be able to use the M-Pesa number to pay that registration right now, because it's usually 1,500, but we're giving you 500 bob to register today, because it's a commitment of what you're going to do as we move forward. I wanted to mention, for those who are international students, you can use these bank details, but kindly email Maureen at centonomy.com, and she'll give you all the details that you need in order to be able to do that. So guys, this is the time to make that choice in life. As I said, the Centonomy 101 program changed my life. Whoa, somebody's joining me on the air. There we go. The 101 program also changed my life. Peter, I did it in 2012 as well myself. And the truth of the matter is, where we are as a family, I shared on the other platform on Men and Money that now we are landlords. And it, without coming to the Centonomy 101 program, we didn't even see how a journey from where we were to becoming landlords was going to be. But by the grace of God, we have been able to achieve that, and also through the knowledge that we've been learning through the 101 program. So for all those who are interested, this is the time to register. Do so right now. If you're in Kenya, you can use the M-Pesa number. If you're outside of Kenya, we've got the bank details that are up there for you. Men, it is about being intentional and understanding the methods to get there. If you understand the process, you have your own talents, you have your own gifts, you have your own area. Just like Mourinho was saying, we're not here to coach you as an individual. We're here to give you a strategic plan for the wealth that you want to achieve. It's been so great. I encourage you, if you want more great material that is available, go through all our social media platforms, even our website, centonomy.com. You will get all the details that you need. But I'm encouraging you, don't stand on the outside and hope that things are just going to change. Get into the game, and we'll assist you on that journey. Any other questions? I'll be able to assist you on that right now as we're going through. In case there's a question that you have, you can be able to post it here on the Zoom platform, or Facebook and Instagram, and and YouTube, and we'll try and be able to pick up on those questions. Any other questions about the program itself, about the learning, I'll be able to assist you with that for a couple of minutes. But a big thank you to Peter, Mbui, Getao. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Thank you so much to Pastor Simon Mbevi of Transform Nations. And finally to Peter Mbatha, who's a Centonomy alumni. We are so grateful for your time and the insights that you have shared. I can see some of the questions coming through. Yes, reach out to Maureen at centonomy.com. Let me put those details up on the screen again. Someone is asking, how do I get a hold of you guys? I'll put the details there on the screen. At the bottom, you'll see you can call that number, or email Maureen at centonomy.com, and she'll give you all the details that you need in order to be able to register. Okay. Thank you so much, Julius. I keep seeing that encouragement. Great work, Waithaka. Thank you. I appreciate that. Morris kept getting better and better. Oh, thank God for that. Thank God for that. Charles Mukewa, thank you so much. The encouragement is blessed. Joanne, you wanted the pay bill number. Don't worry, I'll put it up on the screen for you. I can see you, Joanne Kuria, on Facebook. I saw that request. There you go. There is the pay bill number. It's there on the screen, and it's also in the details that you had there. Guys, financial freedom is achievable, and it's only if we're strategic on it. And that's what the Centonomy 101 program is designed for. I think one of the things that changed my life and why we went into investment property first is because I remember our founder, Washeke Ndwati, took us through this class where she was explaining how it is that your home that you own, the house that you own but you live in, is not an asset. I mean that just doesn't make sense until you actually sit down and think through it. I'm living in this house. It doesn't actually put money in my pocket. And so we have a discussion in the class about, okay, it's good to own your own home. And you saw both Peter and I want to own our own homes. We're working towards that. But we realize when you're in your own home, it never puts money in your pocket. So we start having a strategy towards investments that put money in your pocket so that when you're living in your own home, you're comfortable. Now that's financial freedom. Because we've seen it now, especially as we start training in the area of retirement. There's a population in Kenya and across Africa actually right now, where people are retiring into their own homes, but they have no other income source. And so they're struggling in their own home. You thought your home was the security you need? No. The security you need in retirement is cash flow. And we get a strategy towards that. So for everyone who's been sharing, thank you so much, Ben. I see your comment there that this was an eye-opening session. That's great. You can't imagine what's in the class. Register, Ben. We'll see you in the class there. Daniel, you're saying great session. Thank you so much. Great to see you in class in February 2021. We have to get our growth plan ready. Thank you so much, Samuel. And he's saying a big thank you to everybody who's been listening there. We are so grateful for that. So for everyone who's been watching, I hope it's been useful for you. I can see through the comments that it has been. May God bless you. See you in class February 2021. You can do this payment plan that's on the screen right now, or you can start doing the Lipa Pole Pole payment plan so that it's easier on your budget. And don't forget, this is the time to invest with the 10% lockdown discount. We have to support one another. God bless you. See you guys in class. Wow, we have viewers all the way from Zambia, Sikota, Noanga. I hope I got that right. Yes, we've been having an amazing time with all our people in the diaspora as well, and further afield in Kenya, in Africa. The amazing thing about the class right now is that we've got people from literally across the world, all the way from the US, from Europe, from North, Central, East, West, and South Africa. We've got people in Asia, in Australia. I'm telling you, the only continent we don't have students at the moment is well, there are two continents, and it's because Antarctica doesn't have many people, and South America, we're yet to speak in Spanish, but we're working on that, Spanish and Portuguese, so we get there. Thank you so much, Sikota. Really, really great to see you here. So for those who have been watching from outside, you're more than welcome and ready to join the class.
if you're